Hello everyone, this is Taylor Edrington with Gorge Anglers in Canyon City, Colorado, the oldest fly fishing outfitter on the Arkansas River and only Orvis endorsed guide service on the Arkansas. Thanks so much for viewing. Today is the 11th of February and this video report comes a little bit early here. However, we've seen some very spring-like weather here in the last 10 days. And we expect in the long-term forecast to see highs in the 70s next week. Potentially just some very, very good weather on the way already here. We're expected to see, mid-60s through the rest of this week. So what that means is potentially a really a heavy increase in stonefly activity and kind of spurring that stonefly molt time period on the Arkansas freestone. The stonefly molt, for those of you who don't know about it, it's really that first time period where we see a much increased activity in the trout population due to the fact that the stonefly population, which is very large on this river, begins its new star phase. It's a life cycle stage, and what happens is the stonefly begins to go through a process in which its exoskeleton changes in composition and color, and this is in preparation for hatching later in the year in June, July, and sometimes even into August. But in February we have the majority of our stonefly population going through this stonefly phase, the new star phase, and that makes that population much more active in the water column, and fish kind of come out of that winter doldrum, and while we're catching fish in the winter, this really transitions into a heavy feeding time period where fish are trying to gain calories lost during the winter season. So with this warming weather and the associated warming water temperatures that we will see in the next 10 days, we expect for stonefly molt activity to really fire up in the next 10 days, if not now. So we do have guides on the water every day, so we'll definitely be able to tell what's going on with that stonefly nymph population. This can be one of the best nymphing time periods when the stonefly molt really gets rolling. The reason is, like I explained, that trout population is really trying to gain calories quickly, make up for lost time, so to speak. So we're running a focus of triple nymph rigs right now. We'll continue that through the stonefly time period, stonefly molt time period, focusing of course on that stonefly as a lead fly in a traditional nymph rig. If you like to Euro nymph, we're running a heavy stonefly pattern as that point fly, that bottom fly. Starting off, I'd like to show you some stonefly patterns. Like I said, during that new star phase, stoneflies do change color. They go from a little bit darker color to a light color to a dark color. So depending on where you are on the river, the stoneflies will be transitioning in color. And so we do recommend you carry both dark stoneflies, like the brown dark biot stone, and light versions to accompany. So with that brown biot stone, we've got the light gold biot stone. Okay. And then we've got darker patterns like John Barr's Jumbo John, and a little bit lighter representations like John Barr's Tungstone. And a fly that just fishes really well during the stonefly molt always has is the two-tone stone. Has kind of a variation of color, but definitely a golden stone size. We're fishing stoneflies from size 8 typically to size 14, and there are smaller stoneflies in the water column. Like I said, we're running triple rigs, so for that middle fly, we're running a variety of flies. You know, it could be a smaller stonefly, it could be a free-swimming caddis larva, it could be a general kind of attractor nymph. One of the general attractor nymphs that we really love right now and through the season is the Guide's Choice Hare's-Ear. That's a size 16 right there. For your free-swimming caddis larva, that Rhacophala, this is the net builder caddis, really, really nice caddis larva representation. The GTI caddis, really nice pattern there. And the splat roller, which is Shea Gunkel's caddis larva. Those are all bigger caddis larva, free-swimming caddis larva. If you like to run a little bit smaller stonefly, patterns like the Iron Sally or the Tungsten Goldie, another really, really nice little small stonefly representation to go in that middle fly slot. For the bottom flies, we're running a mix between midges and BWO nymphs. Surprisingly enough, there are a lot of BWOs beginning to kick around in the lower water column. Still a lot of midge activity, you know, throughout the life cycle stages. But let's start with a couple BWO nymphs that we like. That being the shot glass nymph here, great fly, and the iron lotus. And we're fishing these in size 18s, no need to go 20 really as we enter this BWO time period. And obviously BWOs are really going to, you know, increase in activity as we get into March, but you will see some BWO activity in late February, and with this warmer weather, they'll be kicking around. As far as midge larvae are concerned, another fly you can run in the bottom of that triple rig. The Desert Storm is a really great little pattern, and little, very little. We're running size 20 and 22s on our midge larva. The Jujube midge, and the Medallion midge, which is kind of a cross between a larva and a pupa, and has that kind of wing case going. For that pupa, the midge pupa, we like to run patterns such as the Rojo midge. So if you're seeing you know, midges hatching sporadically, typically I'm going to run, but maybe not fish rising to adult midges. I'm going to run that midge pupa. So it's basically just a larva with a little wing on it. That's the top secret. And another larva to round it out, the ICU midge. And for the midge adults, which we're seeing a lot of midge adults up and down the canyon, in Canyon City itself, you know, and if there are enough of them, fish will key to them. You know, some of the better ones are sprout midge, which is a really, really nice pattern. Size 20 through 24, easy to see. And Wilcox's midge, size 20 through 24. All of these flies I've talked about you can now find online. You can buy directly from us on our website. So you can check that out. We will also list a series of patterns on our suggested patterns list here shortly that will link to those specific patterns on our website. So you can buy, you know, 2 to 3 of each depending on the pattern, and you know, tuck those away in your box for a trip up here. What I really like to tell people is, you know, this time period is a very overlooked time period. The stonefly molt time period can be one of the best nymphing time periods of the season. And with fish coming out of that winter kind of doldrum and becoming very active in the water column and feeding heavily, it's a great time to get here, you know, and before the spring hits and BWO season and caddis season, it's a very busy time period on the Arkansas. So um, coming to take advantage of some of this early spring fishing, and with this weather that we've got, it's a great opportunity for folks. There is some shelf ice still kicking around in the canyon, so what we do suggest is to focus your efforts in Canyon City, or focus on areas that receive radiant heat in the canyon, which there's a bunch of those areas. About 50% of the canyon right now, Bighorn Sheep Canyon, has a lot of good access with minimal shelf ice formation. So we're going to see shelf ice formation through the first few weeks of March, so just expect that. Doesn't mean it's unfishable, it means it's very fishable. You just got to kind of know where you're accessing the river, and focus on those areas with a little bit less formation. And there, like I said, there's a lot of areas with little to no ice formation. Flows are running at winter flow on this river, so we are contributing quite a bit of water out of our contributing tail races to equal a 550 total flow at Wellsville. And we like to keep it at that level, number one, to keep the water column a little bit warmer. The more, if we have about 500 to 600 CFS, it holds water temperature nicely, so you get less temperature swing. On those cold nights, you don't get really cold. And number two, we have to move water downstream in preparation for snowmelt, which will come at the end of May and 1st of June. Right now, we're looking at about 100%, an average snow year, with this weather. Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, if we have windy days and really warm weather in the end of February and early March, it could dwindle the snowpack rapidly. We're definitely going to have a few more storms, a few more winter storms, in the mix. So that'll add to the snowpack, but we expect an average water year, and nothing crazy probably like last year, unless we get some really heavy, late snow. So expect really good conditions on the Arkansas as we look forward through the spring. Obviously, we don't have to deal with that snow melt, but when that snow melt comes down, we're probably going to be 700 to 1,000 CFS through the majority of the summer, which is average flow. So that'll be good. Good for floating, good for wading, good for fishing, happy fish. So what I would like to spotlight is also, hopefully people are preparing for our big event, which is coming up March 19th and 20th. Every year we have a huge spring event here at the Fly Shop, which features obviously giant sales, clearance sales in the Fly Shop, destination seminars, casting seminars. This year it's a 2-day event, and we're going to be featuring some streamside clinics on Sunday the 20th, a couple of which include Euro nymphing with Josh Graffam, Fly Fishing Team USA member, and Tenkara, Freestone Tenkara, with our very own Paul Vertrees, who is the Vice President of Marketing for Zen Fly Fishing. Some great stuff there. We're going to add to that as well, have multiple options for people on Sunday. Those will be small paid events, but streamside clinics where you should be able to really add to your skill set if you wish to do so. Saturday obviously is an open event, fly shop event. We'll have a ton of stuff going on. You can cast any rod you want. Orvis, Sage, Beulah, Reddington. We'll have all of the great brands here represented by manufacturer reps as well to answer any questions about new products. So definitely mark that on your calendar, March 19th and 20th. Check out our Facebook page for more details at this time, and we'll be sending out a lot more, obviously, in the weeks to come on that event. If you do have any questions, feel free to give us a call toll free, 888-994-6743, or shoot us an email at info@royalgorgeanglers.com. Remember, all the flies that I've discussed you can purchase online directly from us. If you have any questions about that or would like to make a phone order, again, toll free, 888-994-6743. And remember, it's late February already, and the weather, we're mid-60s, 70s. You can't beat that. It's time to get out on the water, knock the rust off, kick that cabin fever, and get on the Arkansas River, North America's longest gold medal fishery. And if you have any questions, get in touch with us. Thanks so much. Have a great day.